During a plenary session this Thursday, March the 18th, 2021, the eldest member of the National Assembly, Honorable Laurentine Kwafege Mbede, who opened the session, chaired the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly. Honorable Kavayege Jibril, CPDM member of the National Assembly for Mayo Sava in the Far North region, ran unopposed and was once again elected for the 29th time as House Speaker with a score of 147 votes in his favor and 15 null ballots out of 162 votes cast. Once elected, the eldest member invited the Speaker of the National Assembly to the washroom for his acceptance speech. Honorable Kavayege Jubi salutes his peers for the election and thanked the head of state, National President of the CPDM party, President Paul Biya, for the confidence he has bestowed once again on him. Honorable Kavayege Jubi made allusion to the coronavirus pandemic. He urged members of the National Assembly to respect the barrier measures put in place. After the address, the House Speaker proceeded to organize election for the 22 other members of the Bureau. Honorable Hilarion Etone was elected Deputy Senior Vice Speaker of the National Assembly. In a bid to reflect the political coloration of the National Assembly, Honorable Abba Alim of the NUDP party was elected amongst the 4 deputy speakers, while Honorable Joshua Osi of the SDF was maintained as one of the 4 quaestors of the National Assembly. The 12 secretaries were elected, including Honorable Cabral Libri of the PCA and Arab Party. Reporting from the National Assembly here at the Yaoundé Conference Center, I am Abel Bela Samari.
Abel, you're not leaving us just yet. You are with the CDU MNA of the Noon, that is Honorable Kupit Adamu. That is the Cameroon Development Union, Democratic Union. He is the member of the National Assembly representing the Noon. Now, just help us ask the Honorable his impression after the election of the Bureau of the National Assembly. Honorable Kupit Adamu.
I was surprised to realize that the whole Bureau has been re-elected since the beginning of our Parliament. There's not major change during mandate. What has been done at the beginning of the mandate is only reconducted during the mandate until the end. So we are not surprised to realize that the Right Honorable Kavayege Jibril and his team are automatically reconducted. Our aims as CDU parliamentarian is to know that maybe we could modify the law to make them be able to present their professional, their plan of action before this election. We go to elect somebody without knowing what will we do concerning the functioning of our parliament. So we will go further and ask for them to present their plan of action before the election.
Any expectations for this?
Our expectation.
All right, thank you very much, Abel Belasamari. We will have more of the expectations of the different MNAs in our subsequent newscast. Is, for example, at 6 p.m. during our bilingual newscast. Well, as with the election of the Bureau at the National Assembly, our reporter Afrinwe Crispin interviewed a legal mind on what the law says when it comes to election within the parliament. Take a listen to our report.
Tamfo Richard is a legal mind. He says for elections to be carried out at the level of the National Assembly, there is a law that governs.
The law organizing the National Assembly and the Senate, it is that law that permits them to renew after a certain period of time. And it is time now to renew after the new legislation, elections were taken in, so they have to make members of the Bureau, get newly elected members of the various bureaus, and always know the Assembly has a chairman, commission, the Assembly has Secretary General, all those positions that they have in the Assembly, they have to renew them.
The legal mind further outlines some modalities that are followed before the holding of elections.
Before the election process, people would have equally taken the stance to compile documents, to post for candidatures on the various positions at the National Assembly. Anybody who wants to vote should be at some 35 years of age.
Following previous elections at the National Assembly and the Senate, no great changes have been recorded. Therefore, this year's election will not be different. Tamfu Richard once more.
The Assembly and the Senate is an obvious majority of the civilians. People who have been handpicked, fraudulent elections that have been carried out, and many frauds that have been done for them to come in that majority. Who can change? They have party discipline as a position they always take. So on their line of party discipline, nothing can change. So don't just expect any great change. There's nothing magical that will happen.
It should be noted that the law always plays a big role no matter the kind of election carried out.
Thank you very much, Frino Crispin. Well, Abel Belasamari also caught up with Honorable Njume Peter. He's of the CPDM of Ndian. He gives these expectations according to the bureau put in place at the National Assembly.
What is important is not really just a matter of putting on a new bureau, but to understand that this bureau is just 1 year old. And so far, the bureau has been very, very effective. What is the government doing to put in place the triennial program for the employment of the youths?
That was Honorable Njume Peter speaking there. Now, the elections at the Senate will take place later today by 4 p.m., where Senate President Marcel Nyadjifeji is expected to be re-elected. What Mr. Lemken, which is a political analyst, and says this chance and gives the chances of Senate President Marcel Nyadjifeji to be re-elected as the President of the Senate.
The probability, politically saying, of Mr. Nyadjifeji Marcel of returning the aim of the Senate are not very visible, because head-wise, Mr. Nyad will not be able to perform his function normally. For the past 3 months, what we have seen on social media, his images and the rest portray that President Nyad will not be able to manage the House, even though in the past we have been in the kind of situation that his health situation does not permit him to handle such functions. So the probability of Mr. Nyadjifeji Marcel being retained as the Senate President virtually out of sight. Speculations and rumors are high on grounds that he deposited his letter of resignation to the head of state before Parliament resumed this March.
That was Lemken Richard speaking there. Now let us try to understand why the Speaker of the National Assembly as well as the President of the Senate have remained in power for this long. Mapala Zita put the question to political analyst Dr. Divine Gwa and compiled the following report.
Every governance has a system in which to roll and has principles when it comes to elections, and definitely the position of House Speaker or Senate President follows democratic institutions. This, Dr. Divine Gwa say, is the trend followed by every normal government as it sets up its rules and strictly follows them.
Each government has its own ways of doing things that suits its country, accepted by the democratic principles of that country. Some go as far to putting up an electoral code that prescribes instructions and principles of how things should move in a country, such that everybody knows. But now, what embarrasses us all is that some people have stayed in power for years upon years, and we are not even sure that they are going to live. Maybe they will die there.
Why then do we face such a situation in Cameroon, Dr. Divine Gwa?
It is the continuous amendment of the electoral code in Cameroon, saying that the powers or the position, beginning even with that of the president, is no more limited to any mandate. It depends on the confidence renewed to the person after the end of each mandate.
Party politics also seem to be a glue holding the Speaker and President of Cameroon's Houses of Parliament on seat, Mr. Ngwa.
Party politics enter there to say that the party decides the candidate that represents them in any election after the end of each mandate. In this case now, where elections to certain positions has become unlimited instead of being limited, it explains the reason why some candidates who by dint of the confidence given them by their political parties will die in power somewhere, somehow.
Our political analysts say this therefore explains why we keep seeing the same persons on some particular seats in this country.
That is why you see the president of the Senate is there, because that is the party candidate. And being the party candidate and the party in power, they follow party discipline and instruct. And even when they go for elections, even after the elections, they now choose as a party who to occupy such and such a position. They are no more choosing as whatever. So it is more of party member representation in positions as far as those two positions are concerned. So it is not depending on election or not.
Well, that is Cameroon for you and I.
And that is Cameroon for you and I. Still to come in this newscast, the scarcity of mackerel fish and fowls in the markets pushes some consumers to switch to other options.
Mackerel fish is expensive. They are not even seeing it, and the quality is not even the same. The one that is there is not sweet. That one who want to eat the fish, we try to find another one. Maurice is not expensive.
Not only mackerel is expensive, chicken also has become very, very expensive.
You are listening to the 2 p.m. News on 88.4 Royal FM and watching us live on Facebook on Royal FM Cameroon. You are doing the right thing. Cameroon joins the rest of the world today to celebrate this March 18th, the Global Recycling Day, under the theme, Recognizing Recycling as an Essential Industry. This day comes up to recognize the importance of recycling as a resource and not a waste. For this fourth edition, Jessica Tangana, reporter, caught up with some Cameroonians to understand how they go about with recycling objects in their surroundings, and she got their reactions in this vox pop.
What I do is the separation is done at home, where the plastic bottles have been put in different bins where the other trash.
Anything that concerns plastic papers or bottles, most of them are used for water, or a mom would just burn them into fire.
I do recycle my bottles in the manner of after the use or buying a bottle of juice. I will later use it for my filtering my water to drink. It helps me. And for my plastic too, when I go to the market and buy something from the market, I will later on come rinsing it because it can help me to still use it in another way.
Those were some Cameroonians on how they go about recycling. And in the same light, our reporter Jessica Tangana discussed with an environmentalist in the person of Nkwele Justin to better understand or to better explain why recycling is what it is all about, and moreover, the methods everyone can participate in recycling for a better environment. Take a listen to her report.
Every year, the earth uses billions of tons of natural resources. At some point, in the not too distant future, it will run out. That's why we must think again or think twice before we throw away, seeing not waste, but an opportunity. For this reason, to commemorate the Global Recycling Day, Kwele Justine, our environmentalist, explained what recycling is all about via this phone call.
Recycling is just a process in which we take things that are meant to be disposed of and give it another value. An example of recycling could just be like maybe we use tires in gardening. We use leftover tangy bottles to make food ties. It means that you take something that was designed to be thrown to give it another value or an additional value or give it new value.
Quiz on the advantage of recycling plus the inconvenience of not recycling, he had this to say.
The first advantage is that it renders the second-end product cheap because the raw material for that product is available at little or no price. The second advantage is that it helps to reduce problems of urban disorder. When we talk of urban disorder, what do we mean? People throw used tires anywhere. They throw leftover bottles everywhere. So it goes and it causes a problem of flooding and all of that. So if those leftover products are being recycled to give another use which could be more durable, it will reduce the rate of urban order, it will reduce the rate of overflooding, it will reduce the rate of littering around.
Furthermore, Kwele Justine encourages everyone to participate in any concept of recycling in order to protect our environment, as he states some concepts.
The ordinary citizen or the layman on the street can recycle by making use of those things. For instance, now there is a new concept in agriculture that we call drip irrigation. For instance, you have a flower pot that needs to be watered. If you take a tangy bottle, you fill it with water, you put the drip set, and you open it to be dropping bit by bit, and you hang it somewhere around your environment. It will water your plants on a continuous process, and you will not have run over water on your floor to litter your floor. Another use is that we could use like leftover tires in order to plant maybe water leaf in an area where it is cemented everywhere.
However, recycling aims to provide a solution for waste by collecting and recycling for the well-being of our environment, and everyone should contribute to this in order to save the earth.
We all need to put our hands together for a proper recycling so as to clean our environment and live in a healthy space. Thank you very much, Jessica Tangana. On to something else, the need for African countries to achieve rapid economic growth through environmentally conscious industrialization and diversification while taking advantage of digitalization is being emphasized at the 53rd session of the Economic Commission for Africa underway via video conferencing in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The committee experts that began meeting yesterday ahead of the start next Monday of the Conference of African Ministers of Finance, Planning and Economic Development today are listening to presentations on the activities of ECA covering the period of April 2020 to March 2021. The special representative of the UN Secretary General and head of the UN Regional Office for Central Africa, Francois Lonsin-Nifor, has acclaimed efforts made by Cameroon to foster peace and security in the sub-region. He was speaking today in Yaoundé after an audience granted him by Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Gute. As you heard earlier on, for some weeks now, consumers have noticed the scarcity and high cost of mackerel fish as well as fowls in the markets. And our reporter, Jementa, you say mackerel fish consumers in cold stores are forced to switch to different varieties of fish like bar or moru, just to name the things.
Cold stores are becoming more cold as one of the highest fish consumed by Cameroonians is becoming scarce as well as fowls.
Silap no pe de na de se wona pe se na sia chicken die mackerel se no de na de you ma we the dry fish na so the dry na small friture them mackerel no de na so mackerel over scarce na so miss se na de buy me na mori bro da chomi na mori ko mori de na so.
Not only mackerel is expensive, chicken also has become very, very expensive, and it's not even easy to find chicken in the market nowadays. I went home very disappointed, and I was even forced to change the menu.
Mami Edimo is a mother of 4. Switching to other varieties of fish is the best option to feed all her family members.
Mackerel fish is expensive. They are not even seeing it. When you see it, it will be expensive. And the quality is not even the same. The one that is there is not sweet. That when you want to eat the fish, we try to find another one. Even tongue, even machara, even mori. Mori is not expensive. But chicken is not obliged that you eat it now. If chicken is expensive, you leave it. You buy even meat. You buy even pig to eat.
According to some mackerel consumers, they opt to stay away from other fish species. And when it comes to fowls, Sharon has poultry connection to buy one.
Like mackerel is the only fish that I eat. So now that fish is expensive, since I even eat it only once in a while, that's the only fish I eat. So nothing else for now that it's expensive. Chicken is expensive and scarce. It still doesn't stop me from getting it. Well, it's all about having connections. I have people who have big poultry, so I get it directly from the poultries. So that's how I get my chicken.
These mackerel and fowls consumers highly expect that fowls and mackerel fish should fill back cold stores with accessible prices as well, promise Akanteh.
We hope that prices will be accessible. You are listening to the 2 p.m. News on 88.4 Real FM. Out of the country on a sad note, Tanzania's President John Magufuli has died at the age of 61. He died yesterday from a heart complication as disclosed by the country's Vice President Samia Suluhu. The president leaves behind his wife and 2 children and will be remembered for his remarkable works. Just then, who was this African leader? Have an idea of his life as it is being traced for us by reporter Susan Nanyonge.
John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was a Tanzanian politician who served as 5th president of Tanzania from 2015 to 2021. Born on October 25, 1959 in Chato, he served as Minister of Works, Transports and Telecommunications from 2000 to 2005 and was chairman of the Southern African Development Community from 2019 to 2020. He was a multitasked man, being in domains like politics, religion and education. John Magufuli went through primary and secondary education in Chato Primary School, Katoke Seminary, and Nkwawa High School respectively. He then studied in the University of Dar es Salaam, where he obtained a bachelor's degree of science in education. He furthered studies till 2019, when he obtained a doctorate degree by the University of Dodoma for improving the country's economy. He was a trained chemist and mathematician and also lectured these subjects. The late father of 2 kids got into presidency in 2015, precisely winning elections on his 56th birthday. He was nicknamed the Bulldozer for his forceful leadership style, notably driving a program to build roads across the country. Those close to him say he was keen on details and he was always at task to complete his work. He was a staunch Catholic who loved singing in the church choir and played traditional drums. The fallen president was a member of the Chama cha Mapinduzi party, which has been in power since the country's independence. When the COVID-19 outbreak occurred, John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was hostile towards the measures evicted by WHO. He even made fun of these measures, encouraging citizens to rather call on God and warn them against the COVID-19 vaccine, as we get in this excerpt.
There are some Tanzanians who recently traveled abroad in search of the coronavirus vaccine. These people brought the virus into our country when they returned. Let us stand firm. This vaccine is not good at all. We need to put God first in fighting against this dangerous disease, but at the same time take health precautions to protect ourselves against this disease as advised by our health experts.
Some of his other actions were his fight against corruption and developing his country economically. He divided his own salary by 4, making him the poorest African president to favor his country's growth. Last October, he was re-elected president with more than 84% of the votes. Before his death, Mr. Magufuli had not been seen in public for more than 2 weeks, going by sources. His death leaves Tanzania in an uncertain political situation.
And he will be forever remembered for his very, very assiduous nature of work and very keen on results. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Let's come back to Talk Sports. And in sports, the French Professional League, LFP, has confirmed that League 1 and 2 clubs have unanimously voted to keep their players from traveling outside the European Union due to COVID-19. Consequently, Cameroonian players plying their trade in France and recently summoned by coach Antonio Conceição won't be available for the March 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Ben Emmanuel with details.
The decision from the French Football Federation implies that Cameroonians and African players in France will not be allowed to compete in the upcoming 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifiers this month. Mwambu Edward is a football writer and African football specialist.
The clubs are looking to protect their players to avoid coronavirus infections, which could hinder or hamper their seasons in one way or the other. Not every country has strict restrictive measures like you have in the professional setups in France. So it's a worrying situation for clubs, and of course one can understand them when they say that they want to hold on to their players to avoid getting into coronavirus problems.
The French clubs say they have resolved to take such a stand because their players will be forced to quarantine due to the national policy and will henceforth means the first domestic league games on the return from international duties.
They are not very sure that the coronavirus restrictive measures will be respected. Remember that even in Europe, we've seen Champions League games played elsewhere. So they might be worried or bothered to let their players travel to places where they are not sure that coronavirus measures will be respected. So that explains why the French clubs are holding on to their players from going for international duty.
It is a huge blow for African football and will certainly affect some African countries together with Cameroon. The 5-time African champions will be without 5 of their key players, including Saint-Etienne duo Harold Mukundi and Ivan Newu, as well as Olympique of Lyon informed striker Karl Toko Ekambi, and Stéphane Baoken and Jean-Charles Castelletto of Nantes are equally ruled out. However, many argue the decision could lead to a legal tussle will equally be beneficial to some home-based players.
While we might deplore the fact that key players like Toko Mukudi will not be part of the national team, we would have loved to see Neyu make his debut, we also have a chance to have other players showcase what they can do. We could turn to the home-based players. The stakes are not very much high.
Cameroon is expected to face Cape Verde on March the 5th on the 26th of March, before taking on Rwanda 4 days later at the Japoma Stadium in Douala. They are currently 6 points clear the top of Group F, but are already qualified as host nation.
Thank you very much, Bengman. Just to add that Cameroon's League One side, Coton Sport of Garoua, yesterday recorded their first win in this season's CAF Confederations Cup after beating defending champions Renaissance Sportif of Bekran 2-0 on match day 2 at the Room de Aja Stadium in Garoua. It is Coton Sport's first win since making their comeback to the group stage of the CAF Confederations Cup after 7 years. They are currently second in Group B and only a point away from leaders JS Kabylie, whom they lost to on match day 1, and their next match will be on April 2.